Let's give our praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, and the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakak Kwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS, who taught us this truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers, risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, who would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel according to scripture and prophecy. The elect will be 1/3 of the Israelites who in the last days will return back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai for salvation, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High in time be destroyed with America. And that's all according to prophecy. So we back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. This is going to be part 2 to the lesson I did last week. So this will be titled Enemy Number 1 and 2. Esau the serpent and Eve the so-called black woman. This is going to be part 2. And pretty much this lesson we're going to show the top 2 enemies to the nation of Israel. Our arch enemy and rival being Esau Edom, who is the white man who goes all the way back to the serpent. Because the serpent is here today through the white man. And Eve, of course, would be the Israelite woman, primarily the so-called black woman. And what Esau has done is weaponized our people, the Israelites, against themselves. Black on black violence, brown on brown violence, people selling drugs to their own community, and high murder rates amongst our people. That's Esau weaponizing our people against themselves. But also, who he's weaponized against us from the beginning would be the so-called black woman, which represents Eve. That's why Eve, so-called black woman, the Israelite women in general, but primarily the so-called black woman, they kick the man out the household so they can get Section 8 food stamps, wrongfully throw the man on child support to try to take him for everything he has, call the police on the man, set him up, that he gets shot and killed in the streets. And then we showed the video that the so-called black woman is actually an enemy against us. We been knew it, through the spirit and according to the scriptures, but we hearing it out her own mouth. Now this gonna be part 2, and we gonna take it a step further with what was said later on in the video. So the purpose of this lesson is showing that of course the white man is our enemy, the serpent, but Eve, and that was the whole drama in the Garden of Eden, which we showed in the first video. The serpent wasn't after Eve the whole time. He was trying to bring down Adam, and he did it by going through his woman. And that's what we see today. Esau has attacked the Israelite man by going through the women. But the women become so wicked and so cruel, she's become like the serpent. And we showed in the video, it's no longer, the serpent trying to attack Adam by going through Eve, although that still happens. And you got Eve going after Adam all by herself. You got the so-called black woman going to the so-called white woman for help on killing us off. That was part 1. Now we gonna hit those time stamps, and then we gonna continue from there. So check this out. Matter of fact, this is Micah 7:10. Then she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her. Who is this enemy? The enemy to the Israelite man, it would be the Israelite woman, primarily the so-called black woman, Eve. When Eve listened to the serpent and conspired with the serpent, she became an enemy to Adam. So anytime our women team up and partner up with the other nations, they then become our enemy. So yeah, the so-called white man and so-called black woman, hey, that's the serpent and Eve all over again. She that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her. Which said unto me, where is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shaddai God? My eyes shall behold her, now she shall be trodden down as the mire of the streets. So yeah, we're gonna remind the people why so-called black woman, you know, is our worst enemy right under Esau Edom, the so-called white man. So let's get back to this video.
Understanding a group of people, like women may not understand men and men may not understand women, but to literally have a bunch of women who are conspiring against black men for real, that they don't want them here. They're trying to find ways to eliminate you.
Yeah, they don't want us here, and to eliminate us mean to kill us off by use of deadly force by any means necessary. Now I'm gonna try to play this all the way through without stopping it, but listen closely so we can follow what's being said.
It's just crazy as hell to me. This is worse than I ever thought it would be. Shout out to Shaz Sharday. This video was posted on her channel and it was sent to me via Instagram. Shout out to Pharaoh. This took me out, y'all. I understand why men are moving away. They're moving for real. This is insane to me. I have sons, and I would never want them to have to deal with women who think this way. And I know this is not all women, but my God, this is what it's come to, y'all. Please chime in. I want to hear your thoughts on this. What's your thoughts on this? Please chime in. Black men, y'all got to listen to this. But I'm going to stop talking. Let's get into the video. Here we go.
Perception, because like the goal of this conversation should be to like progress, right? Like unless you're ladies that you don't want to fucking deal with men at all, then we should talk about
we don't want to deal with black men at all.
I with all men and not black men. Just not black men.
Well, is there any women in here who don't want to deal with men, period, or is it just black men, or is it a mixture?
It's just black men, and we actually want non-black men's help in these corrections that you speak of.
So what are the corrections that you're looking for specific?
Force, because that's the only thing that's gonna work.
But I mean, what are you looking for black men to arrive at? A place of understanding of like what do you want to see?
Well,
we believe that there is no hope for them. That we don't believe in changing their minds. We don't. But I'm trying not to say what I really want to say because you're on stage. But if they could not exist, hey, we wouldn't be mad at them.
If they could not exist, you wouldn't be mad at that.
So she told this white dude, so-called black woman, told the white dude that she wants help from non-black men in correcting so-called black men. So when she says she wants help from non-black men, she's not talking about the Chinese or the Japanese or the Arab. She wants help from the white man in correcting our people. She said through the use of force, that would be deadly force. And she said to pretty much kill us off. She said if we didn't exist, that would be happy. And she came to the conclusion that the way that the so-called black man could no longer exist is by going to the white man for help. And the white man used deadly force against our people. So you can rewind it back. I may do it. Let me do it.
Black men, or is it a mixture?
It's just black men, and we actually want non-black men's help in these corrections that you speak of.
So what are the corrections that you're looking for specific?
Force, because that's the only thing that's gonna work.
But I mean, what are you looking for black men to arrive at? A place of understanding of like what do you want to see?
Well,
we believe that there is no hope for them. That we don't believe in changing their minds. We don't. But I'm trying not to say what I really want to say because you're on stage. But if they could not exist, hey, we wouldn't be mad at them.
If they could not exist, you wouldn't be mad at that. Now, this sounds like black women. But this is clearly black women talking to a white man about their hatred for their own men. And they really think that this is going to go in their favor.
And we show why this is not gonna go the way you women planned it to go. We showed that in the first lesson. You can watch that to see why. But again, Micah 7:10, then she that is my enemy shall see it, shame shall cover her. So eventually, the so-called black woman is gonna realize she's teamed up with the serpent, and that she betrayed herself by turning against the men of her nation. Really, the only men in the planet that cares about the so-called black woman would be so-called black men. Nobody care about you Israelite women except Israelite men. And they're going to find that out. Shame shall cover her. It's going to be too late. Which said unto me, where is Yahweh Bashim Yahushai thy God? My eyes shall behold her. Now she shall be trodden down as the mire of the streets. Because the so-called black woman, once again, Eve, has teamed up with the serpent. Once again, she's going to be trodden down like the mire in the streets. She's going to be judged for it. Now, it don't stop here. We got to fast forward a little bit in this video to continue. Because not only do the so-called black woman want white man to delete us by use of deadly force, now they going so far to talk about selective breeding. Meaning, if so-called black people give birth to a so-called black baby boy, the baby boy should be put to death. Black women call it for that now. And that's nothing new. That's in the scriptures. But let's get the audio on that real quick. God damn it, Esau.
Behaviors that are not socially acceptable because you all create the socially acceptable.
The only reason I support opening a black child when it comes to it being male is because when I look at the black community and the problems in it, it's associated with males and male pathology. When you talk about violence, it's associated with the males. When you talk about the women being forced upon, it's the males. When you talk about drugs, it's the males. When you talk about the fatherless children, it's the males. Every single problem that is happening in the black community, you point to the males and then you have the culprit. So for me, I think that not selectively breeding is very irresponsible when you are the only one who has control over who gets to earth.
This is insanity.
Pretty much, she said it kind of fast and they kind of blacked out the audio. But she's talking about so-called black babies being killed because the so-called black man is the reason for all of the problems in the black community. But let's play that again. Listen closely.
It's associated with the males. When you talk about the women being forced upon, it's the males. When you talk about drugs, it's the males. When you talk about male, it's because when I look at the black
acceptable because you all create.
The only reason I support opening a black child when it.
That's what she said. The reason why she supports, the only reason she would support aborting a black child. Let's play that again.
The only reason I support opening a black child when it comes to it being male is because when I look at the black community and the problems in it, it's associated with males and male pathology. When you talk about violence, it's associated.
But what about all the problems that's caused by the so-called black woman? What about the real culprit who's Esau Edom, the so-called white man, who set these communities up, to promote, black on black crime, etc. The woman is part of the problem too. But the culprit is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. But the point is, she's talked about selectively breeding and abortion should be okay when it comes to a black boy. And that's nothing new. That happened all throughout the scriptures. Now we're going to show some of this real quick. And that's according to the curses. But again, that's why Micah 7:10 said, then she that is my enemy shall see it. So we see that the woman has been an enemy to our people the whole time. You don't see so-called black men trying to team up with the white woman on how they gonna kill off, black women. You don't see black men talk about aborting black female babies. Hey, this is real hatred that the so-called black woman has for the men of her own nation. Now, again, this is part of the curses. This is Deuteronomy 28:56. Then a tender and delicate woman among you, which will not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground, for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward her husband. We see that in the video. Talking about teaming up with the white man so he can use deadly force in eliminating our people, to the point of us no longer existing. And she wouldn't care. See that? Evil eye toward her husband. It says what? And toward her son. Yeah, so black women got evil eye towards their sons and toward her daughter, but this is a different conversation. So the so-called black women, the Israelite women in general, mainly the so-called black women, the 2/3 of our people, have an evil eye toward their sons. Now, it might not be your personal son, but you talking about aborting another black baby. That's the son of your fellow sister, your fellow Israelite sister, whether you know her or not. That's your fellow sister, and you talking about that they baby boys need to be aborted. But not only is Esau, Edom, the white man, the culprit of all the problems in the so-called black community. According to the curses, most so-called black boys grow up in single-parent households, and they mainly live with the mother. So who's the real reason, for all of the problems in the so-called black community, from the black man? I ain't saying it's okay, but it ain't all his fault when you look at the bigger picture. But again, her eye would be evil toward her husband and toward her son. She literally talking about aborting black babies. You talking about your nephews, your sons, the people that's gonna grow up, the men the only men that's gonna grow up and take care of you so-called black women. The only men that's gonna grow up and protect you so-called black women is gonna be your sons. That's if you raise them right, though. Not how y'all raise them generally. So we're gonna show that even in the scriptures, there's always been the nations conspiring on killing off the Israelites, in particular, the Israelite man, so-called black, Hispanic, Native American man. But it's more pronounced amongst so-called black men today. So we're going to show an example real quick in the book of Exodus 1:15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. This is abortion. This is abortion, which abortion is basically murder. So if it's a Hebrew boy, that he should be killed. This is the order from Pharaoh. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. So-called black woman basically said this in different words. We're going to play that again real quick.
The only reason I support being a black child when it comes to it being male is because when I look at the black community.
See that? The only reason she supports aborting or killing a black child is if it's a black male. But if it's a daughter, then she should live. So you women, y'all know better than Pharaoh. Y'all know better than Pharaoh And you see what the Lord did to him for coming up against his people. So that's one example here. So what we read in Exodus 1:15-16 is your earliest version of a Planned Parenthood. Earliest example of selective breeding. You know, killing the Hebrew boys, but letting the Hebrew girls live. Again, to destroy the Israelite man. And we're going to get this in the book of Lamentations. That's why I say even the sea monsters draw out the breast. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel like the ostriches of the wilderness. So the Lord said, you know, so-called black women, the Israelite women, have become cruel like ostriches. Can't say that word for some reason. But you look at the animal kingdom, certain animals will eat their baby. They eat the eggs. They even eat them after they've been born. Well, that's the same today with the so-called black woman, you know, who supports aborting black boys and going to the white man for help and killing off black men. Now, if you're going to show another example right here, we're going to look at it in a prophetic sense real quick. In the book of Revelation, chapter 12, we're going to start at verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. Now there appeared another, and this represents Israel. There appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. That's the same serpent, which is dragon. It's Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, in particular the Roman Empire, which America is the Roman Empire 2.0, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head, which is not literal when you read Revelation, the 17th chapter. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And this is actual history. We're going to get that next. This red dragon, which represents the Roman Empire, in which Herod, which was part of the Roman Empire, sought to destroy baby Yahushai. You know, who the world will call baby Jesus. So, and this is even true for today. The red dragon stood before the woman, Israelite women, which is ready to be delivered, for to devour her child, the male child, as soon as they be born. That's why you got Planned Parenthood today. To what? To abort, murder so-called black baby boys, Israelite baby boys. Why? Because the prophets is who they after. They wanted to get Yahushai, they failed. Well, this still continues today in hopes of killing the prophets so they don't, you know, do the Lord's work here in the last days and waking up our people. But we're going to show this. Again, the dragon stood before the woman, which is ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Let's show that now. This is the book of Matthew chapter 2, verse 13. Very straight to the point. When they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. See that? That's Revelation 12:4. The red dragon, hey, that was Herod in that example, stood before the woman, that's Mary, which was ready to be delivered for to devour, to destroy her male child as soon as it was born. That was talking about Herod. But again, this continues today in the spirit, you know, through Planned Parenthood, your different shots that they want to give you, the medicines they want to give you, the food, and even abortion. Now they can destroy the child before it ever come out the womb. So what ancient Pharaoh was doing and killing the Hebrew boys as soon as they be born, what Herod was trying to do was kill baby Yahushua as soon as he be born. Esau, even the white man, can kill you before you even come out. So the white man perfected it here in the last days. But again, you see that Herod, the Roman Empire, the Red Dragon, part of prophecy was they would seek to destroy Israelite baby boys. And the woman who's calling for so-called black boys to be aborted, hey, you no different than the Red Dragon. You no different than Herod. You know, because, you know, Esau, even the white man, he created abortion and Planned Parenthood, you know, to slowly kill off our people, but it's happening to his people too. And Esau, the white man, had to promote abortion and Planned Parenthood to our people. Now he ain't even got to promote it. Now the so-called black woman is actively calling for black boys to be aborted. They support it now. So Esau, the white man, don't even have to do nothing. And he molded Eve in his own image. Eve has become the serpent. She's become the red dragon. She's become like Esau. Esau, even the white man, molded Eve in his image here in the last days. That's why Micah 7:10 said, "Then she that is my enemy." Well, you know, Esau's the enemy, but look who's become just like the enemy, the white man, so-called black woman. And you know the Northern Kingdom women in there too, Latin American women, Native American women, but the curses are more pronounced, more noticeable than so-called black man and woman. But yeah, the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now the dragon don't even gotta be present. Esau, Edom, the white man, don't even gotta be in the equation. The woman is ready to devour, ready to destroy her male child all on her own. Rather it's her son or another black baby boy. She's on board and in full support of devouring, meaning to destroy so-called black baby boys, without the white man's help, without his encouragement. So Eve has become like the serpent and the dragon here in the last days. She has become like Esau. Now let's see the fate of the serpent and the red dragon. Let's see their fate. Because when we get this in the book of Revelation 12:9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent. See that? The dragon, the old serpent, called the devil and Satan. Then you know the serpent, this is end time prophecy. Here at the end, the great dragon gonna be cast out. But it goes on to call him that old serpent. So the serpent is still in the earth here in the last days. And he's manifest through Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And that 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, maybe around the 10th verse. Who's coming is after the working of Satan. Then there will be a certain people in the earth who will fulfill, Satan's will in the last days, to be an enemy to the Israelites. It says he was cast out into the earth and his angels were cast out with him. Pretty much they're going to be cast into the lake of fire. That's what this is saying without saying it. Them being cast out, that means them falling out of power, falling out of rulership. Because, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. But after they fall out of power, then comes the lake of fire. And that's what we got right here. And then the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire. It says the devil, but we know what? The great dragon, the old serpent, the devil and Satan is all one and the same. It's talking about the same people in 4 different ways. So when it says the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire, this is not talking about literal Satan who tempts you. No, this would be Esau, Edom, so-called white man, the red dragon, the serpent, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So if this is the fate of the red dragon, and we know the red dragon is guilty of what? Seeking to devour Yahweh Shai as soon as he be born. The red dragon is guilty of that. And Eve is what? Calling for the abortion of Israelite baby boys. So she's become like the red dragon. So if the red dragon's fate is to be cast in a lake of fire, what you think gonna happen to Eve? She gonna be cast in a lake of fire with him. That's the only thing you can expect to happen to the so-called black woman, and you can't say that it's just her. No, nobody's thoughts are original. And that's why when we get this in the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 15, it says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and this will be the wicked. But it says what? And everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. In the last days, Eve, the so-called black woman, is joined unto the serpent. Joined, you can think of an alliance, a tag team. That's why she's trying to team up, with the serpent once again, and to get him to use deadly force to eliminate our men. So these last days, she's not joined unto Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. And you join to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai by being one with your husband. No, she's joined to the serpent. To fulfill, his will in destroying the Israelite man, just as the serpent wanted to target Adam. And he succeeded. The serpent he succeeded in bringing down Adam. And what? Esau, the white man who is the serpent, and he succeeded in bringing down the 2/3 of our people. Talking about the man here. And what was one of his greatest weapons and used in deceiving our men? What's going to be one of the greatest reasons so-called black men get the mark of the beast? Was the RFID microchip. It's going to be because of his woman. The serpent going to send Eve to the so-called black man to get the microchip. And that was pretty much what happened on a small level in the Garden of Eden. Whatever they did was less severe, but they disobeyed the Lord. Well, that ultimate act of disobedience going to be on display through the RFID microchip. That's going to be the reason a lot of so-called black men fall victim to Eve, the so-called black woman, and the serpent, the white man, all over again. But it's going to be no coming back from this one. You get that microchip, you will be in a lake of fire. So yeah, the red dragon. We see what the Lord did to Pharaoh. We see what the Lord did to Pharaoh. He destroyed Egypt. He terrorized them. And one of the things Pharaoh was guilty of is killing Hebrew boys when they be born. Eve is doing that now. So-called black woman is doing that now. The red dragon, who's seeking to destroy, Israelite boys as soon as they be born. They perfected it in this lifetime through abortion. Eve is doing that now all on her own. So she's become one like the serpent, so she gonna die with him. She gonna die the death of the devil. Esau eating the so-called white man. And that's how we gonna get this in the book of Luke, chapter 23, verse 28. And because ultimately too, You know, Herod, the Red Dragon, the Roman Empire, they was in fear because they heard the king of the Jews were going to be born, which is pretty much a threat to his system. So they figure if they can eliminate the sons of God, and you heard that, the sons of God, they won't have nothing to worry about. And that's what Esau the white man is doing now. Because prophecy had it that the Israelite men will wake up, beginning with the house of Judah, who would then wake up the other tribes. So eventually, you know, the 144,000, which are men, they would become active in the earth. So that's why Esau the white man created eugenics, immunizations, set up our communities to be ghettos and trenches, Planned Parenthood to get our women to put the man out the house so that she can receive welfare. He was trying to prevent the sons of God from waking up. He was trying to prevent the birth of the 144,000. Just like Herod was trying to prevent Yahweh Shai from becoming active, Esau the white man was trying to do that today to prevent the prophets from coming back in the earth. But he's failed. And this is Luke 23 and 28, very straight to the point. But Yahweh Shai turning unto them said, daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. See that? Weep for yourselves and for your children. Because now that Eve, so-called black woman, the Israelite woman, is joined to the serpent, hey, she's by herself. And we got Isaiah 28 last time. When the overflowing scourge come, Esau the white man make his move, and you women gonna be without protection. So that's why it says, weep for yourselves and for your children. The Lord got a special case against you Israelite women. And this is the same case that he had since the book of Genesis with Eve. That's why the Lord don't deal with the woman on that level. But he deals with the woman, you know, through Yahweh Shai and through the men. But yeah, then she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her. Hey, and black women, so-called black women, Israelite women, they starting to wake up and realizing the fact that they've been weaponized and used as an ultimate weapon by the serpent, the white man, against the so-called black man. So they see it now. They're seeing it now. That's why she made this video. Because I'm sure before she was awakened to whatever level she's been awakened, she was no different than a so-called black woman that we was listening to conspire on how to kill our men. I'm sure before she woke up, she was no different. So they seeing it. So what's the next step after they see it? And shame shall cover her. So that shame is coming next. And that shame ain't gonna be nothing you can walk away from. That's why it says, now she shall be trodden down as the mire in the streets. So yeah, that's what's coming next. That shame coming, you being trodden down in the streets. And that's literal. People walking all over you, people running through you. So, Lord willing, that was informative and edifying. Till next time, Shalom.